Welcome to our reading of Iliad 6, and we're up to about line 466. So Hektor has just given a rather moving speech, basically saying, yes, look, I know what's going to happen, and it'll be a terrible thing for you to be dragged off and working as a slave in someone else's house. But he finishes off by saying, although this will be very terrible, by that stage I will be dead, and I will not perceive, so I'll be dead and buried before I perceive your cry and your you being dragged off, you being dragged away. So your abduction. And then we continue on, hos epon, and thus speaking, and again it's quite a very pretty little passage, quite a moving passage here, and thus speaking, valiant Hektor, orexator, he reached out for his son. This is that personal adjective here. He reached out for his son, but the boy, Iacon, crying out, eplinthe, he shrank back. It is passive here, but it says the meaning of, I think, so in crying out he shrank back into the bosom of the well-girdled nurse, Tithene. Atukthes is from atuzdo. It means to cause distress, so here it's passive. So to be distressed. So his son shrank back, being distressed at the opsin, at the sight of his father, or of his dear father, if you like. Tarbesus, frightened of the bronze, and so it's te and ide, so of the bronze and of the horse-haired, horse-plumed lophos. Plume, this is the lump of hair at the back of the helmet. So this is the horse's hair, plume, lophos. And having seen it nodding terribly up from the top of the helmet. And his dear father, or his father and his lady mother, laughed. The ek is preverb with galao here. So they laughed at the child being frightened of the horsehair's plume. But valiant Hektor then took the helmet, this is from Chorus, took the helmet from his head, and he placed it down on the shining earth, on the bright earth. And but he, when he had kissed his dear son, so personal adjective here again, his own son, or his dear son. Pele is from palo, to brandish, but here in the sense of toss about. Dandled is a nice, slightly archaic word here. And he dandled him in his hands, and having prayed to Zeus and to the other gods, Aper, he said, O Zeus and other gods, Doti de Kai, grant indeed also that this my son Genesthai to be, and then it goes with this bit over here. So grant indeed also that this my son might be Araprapia, preeminent among the Trojans, hos for kathos, so just as in fact I am. Hodi bien tagathon, this is a funny phrase, it's slightly odd, it only occurs here in Homer. It's thus strong and it's thus noble in respect of his strength. So noble in his strength, and that he will rule Ilium, taking a genitive after verbs of ruling, Iphi, in strength or with strength. This is from an old root is, which is the word meaning strength, and this is an old instrumental ending, so with strength, and that he, so grant that he might rule. These are infinitives after doti up here, so grant that all these other things, and grant that he might rule Ilium with strength. And then someone might say, optative, of him as he goes up, or sorry, as he comes back from the war, from the battle, they might say, this man was much better than his father, in fact. So this man, in fact, was much better than his father. And may he carry, so having killed a hostile man, so having killed an enemy man, may he carry the bloodied inera, this is the booty or spoil, may he carry the bloody spoil. And his mother would rejoice, this is optative again, in her heart. So if all that happened, his mother would be joyous at him doing this. And thus, having spoken thus, he placed his son, this is personal adjective again, heon, he placed his own son, it's reflexive here, he placed his own son into the hands of his dear wife, and she, Dexatot, received then him, the boy, in her fragrant bosom. And lovely expression here, dakroen galasasa. Literally, it's laughing tearfully. So laughing in her tears, laughing tearfully. And her husband, having noticed this, eleesen, he took pity. Now this is a slight variation on that stock line that we see several times in Homer. Normally it's literally he or she grew her hand to him. This one here is he cat erexen, possibly connected with orego to reach out for, but here it's something like stroke. So she stroked, so he stroked her with his hand and spoke a word and named her. Daimonie, well, that's that strange word here. It means strange, odd woman, strange woman. Do not, akekizdio is to distress. This is imperative here, uncontracted imperative. So do not distress or cause distress to me in my heart, lian excessively, te in any way. So don't cause me grief. For, now the u, tis and aner go together here. For no man, proiapse, goes forth to Hades. Sorry, no, I've got that wrong. Sorry, no man will send me forth. This is a meh here. Sorry, no man will send me forth to Hades, huper isan, beyond my fate. Isan is a sort of measure or fate. So no man will send me forth to the house of Hades before my time. It's beyond my fate. I say that none utina andron, that no one of men, I say there to be, I should say, this is the ani, the infinitive, the verb to be, for I say there to be none of men having escaped his moira, his fate. For I tell you that none of mortals has escaped their fate. U kakon, neither the coward, udi men eslon, nor the brave man. Epain, the epanta protogenetai, once he is born, to prota, so it's when he is at first comes into being. So when at first he comes into being, so once he is born. Allah, but participle from Amy Ibo, having gone into the house, komidzi, attend to your own works, the histon, the loom, and the distaff, and give commands to the servants to be busy about their work, to go about their work. War will be a concern to all men, but especially to me, all men who are born in Ilium.